Alright folks, in this video tutorial you are going to be learning about how to draw the human nose. Now the nose on the full view is really one of the most difficult parts of the face to get because the nose relies so much on using good shading in order to capture that three-dimensional form. When you go in and you try to draw the nose just as lines when you're looking at that full view, it never quite looks right because the nose comes out and actually raises up off of the face to create that three-dimensionality. So it's really determined, like it's determined on your light source to create a nose that looks realistic and right. And it also really needs to have that shading to come through. We'll talk a little bit about shading right now, but we're also going to talk about how to go in and to use shading to map out the structure and the form of the nose so you get that real rise up to come in. Now, to start off drawing the nose, I always like to start off by getting the button or the bottom of the nose in that ties in to that cleft palate of the upper lip. Now, the shape that you draw this button is really going to determine the shape of the nose itself. So if I were coming in, so look at this as like two hills with a valley that's coming through. This is a really broad looking nose, where if I wanted to have more of a hawk-like or angular looking nose, I would come in and I would make these sides of the nose or the button of the nose seem much steeper. Now what you're going to do is you're going to really pay attention. So I'm going to do both of these different examples so that you can see how the shape of the nose, how the shape of the button of the nose really determines what the overall look of the nose is going to be. I'm going to assume that my light source is coming in from that upper right hand side, so my shadows are going to be over on the left hand side. Now what you want to do here is you want to start to get that impression that the left side of the nose has a little bit of a shadow coming through. You want to come in and start like mapping out, okay, what does the side of the nose end up looking like? You can even come in and start to map out the shape of just very lightly 2H pencil here, 4H pencil, because you want to go in and erase these. What does, when we talked about drawing the eye, if the eye is over in here, we've got to start getting that sense that the nose is coming up out of that eye socket. So you can come in and you can just start lightly mapping in the shape of what you think the side of the nose is going to be, really paying attention to the bridge of the nose, that flat part of the nose where the light is going to be coming in and hitting that more directly. So I'm going to have a little bit of a light area mapped in over on this side. This is going to be the point that I'm going to come in and I'm going to start mapping in the nostrils and the underside of the nose. You've got a little bit of a shadow underneath. You've got that center of the upper lip, your cleft palate. If the light's coming in over on this direction like this, that means that this side is going to be more in shadow here. So I'm just going to come in and lightly map in, okay, where do I think my shadows are going to be? I've got my nostril that's coming and flaring up over on this side. This is going to be darker here. I'll have a little bit of a shadow coming through, but with the light mostly coming over on the right hand side, I'm going to do very little shading on this point. It's mostly over on the left hand side that I'm really going to be focusing on, okay, how am I going to get that three-dimensional dimensionality and form to come through? That means these sections of shadows that I have are going to be darker coming in like this. Real quick gradient value that comes through. And what I really want you to notice is that as we talked about the eyebrow in the eye tutorial, this edge of the nose is coming in and it doesn't tie into your eye at all. Your eye is down in a socket down in this section in here. This edge comes in and is really mapped in to your eyebrows coming in over on this side. I said that I was going to do this. Apparently I'm not, because I'm going in and drawing over the top of it. So plans change, whatever. You'll forgive me, right? So now at this point that I've gone in and mapped these sections in, I'm going to have this being super, super dark over on this side. I'm going to come over and move on over to my 4B pencil. I'm going to start getting my gradient values to come through. If this is dark over on this side, the nostril is going to have a little bit of a curvature to it. So I'm coming in and I'm tying in my gradient values into this so I can show that roundness. And generally you're going to have a little bit, not a bright highlight, but this whole nostril isn't going to be completely shaded in black. You're going to have a little bit of reflective light coming in off of other areas. So having it dark on one side and dark on this side of the nostril, dark on this side on the button of the nose works. When you go in and shade this in, just make sure that you're leaving a little bit of a medium gray there so that you can show that reflective light coming through and just not box yourself in by going too dark too quickly. Coming in on this side and mapping in this side of the nose. This is going to be the darkest area right on that edge. If my light is shining in over on this side, I really want to make sure that that is good and dark to come through. And then this ties in over into the eyes. In a future tutorial, we'll talk more about how you're going to come in and combine all of these together with the face and the right placement. Right now, you're just coming in and you're just practicing each of these sections. Real good gradient value coming on this side to come up to the bridge of the nose. I'm going to come in and I'm going to lightly. You don't want all of this to be white. You want there to be just a little bit of a shadow around this eye right in here so that you can, if this was all white, that would end up being really, really flat. And there is the, so come in and I'll just bring this shadow in a little bit more. This is going to come off over onto the cheeks. We'll talk about the cheeks in another tutorial. This comes down into the lips. We'll talk about the lips in the other tutorial. Right now we're just focusing today on the actual nose itself. In the Google Classroom, there are two different handouts that go over different ways that you can draw the nose from different angles. I want you looking at these different handouts that are here. I want you to come in and I want you to choose what you did. Yeah, so come in and choose 5 of these noses that you are going to practice all on the same page in your sketchbook. So you've got this one that we did together in the video tutorial, and then all over your sketchbook page. Just practice drawing any of these nose shapes that you want. Practice drawing 5, including the shading. It's all about the practice that is going to make this an easier process for you.